the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing. This is World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Wow Report. I'm Fenton Bailey, co-founder of World of Wonder, joined by Tom Campbell and his pussy.
Einstein and Tom say hello.
And, of course, the legendary James St. James. James, you had a single shot. Single shot.
Yes, I got my shingle shot. And you know what? Shingles doesn't care. I am in a lot of pain. I am achy. I had shivers. I had chills last night. I had sweats. I am like, I can't raise my arm. But you know what? Shingles doesn't care.
Shingles doesn't care. But James, I care because last year I had my second shingle shot. Yeah. I was at my doctor. He's like, oh, by the way, why don't we just get you your second shot? I'm like, sure. I went to work all day. And by the time I drove home, I was trapped in my garage having like fever and chills. And I couldn't move.
Yes, literally, I was shivering. I woke up at 2 a.m. and I had to get a hot bath, and then that made me nauseous. And then I was like sweating, and I had the shivers again.
Now,
just terrible. Worse than any of the booster shots, the COVID.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you say second shot, so it is like a COVID shot. You have to get a booster or a second shot?
Well, no. You get it's in two doses. You get one, and then 6 months later, you get the second half.
I've been missing out. When are you supposed to get this?
Anytime after 50, baby, and I think you are due.
Well, it's funny. I maybe we have to cut this out. Maybe it's too personal. But I had a spot on my bottom a few years ago.
What kind of spot?
Well, I thought it was a spider bite or just a sort of a bite gone wrong. You know?
My God, it's monkeypox.
The nurse said it's shingles, and but it actually wasn't.
Because shingles is no joke, boy. You do not want to get shingles. It is painful.
Right. Okay, well, everybody get your shingles shot if you're over 50. And what are we doing? We are counting down the top 10 things of the week, apart from James's shingle shot. It's a bit of a tongue shingle shot. Shingle shot. That made us go wow or ow. Tom, why don't you kick it off? Number 10.
Number 10.
Now, for those of you watching on YouTube, Einstein, my cat, is here just for a second because I want to talk about some of my favorite things. Raindrops on roses, whiskers on kittens, and what I watched this past week.
Can I just say, with that, Einstein is thrown aside.
Yes, he didn't want to be here the whole time. I watched the Julie Andrews AFI tribute. It's available on demand. You know, I still have cable. I don't know why, but sometimes I get bored and I go just on demand and see what's happening on demand. And can I tell you, I thought like, well, you know, for Julie Andrews is 86 years old. You know, she's had an incredible career. Don't we know enough about it? Haven't we seen enough? No, we haven't.
No. I am with you on this one, Tom. Very quickly, what is your all-time favorite performance? And then I'm going to tell you mine, and then Fenton's going to tell you his.
I'm going to have to say, just because it was so formative in my life, it was The Sound of Music.
Yeah, okay.
Like, there's so many other performances I can also say as an adult changed my world. What's yours, James?
Cinderella, I love that Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella soundtrack. That is one of my favorite. At my funeral, I want you to play the Gavotte. I want. So it is one of my favorite. I can gush on about it. I can gas on for hours about Cinderella.
Fenton, do you have a favorite Julie Andrews?
I'm going to chime in with you at The Sound of Music. I mean, she just was that movie, right?
You know what? Mary Poppins, she's a bitch. Mary Poppins is a horrible woman.
She was a model. She was a model, inspirational model for the time. That was ideal parenting in those days.
Exactly.
Yes,
look how great we turned out.
A little bit of discipline.
Diaries. Is Elliot into the Princess Diaries yet?
No, he wants to be a YouTuber.
There's SOB. There's
where she shows her boobies.
What?
She shows her boobies in SOB.
Yes, exactly. There was Victor Victoria, which is a tremendous, done with her husband Blake Edwards. She also does a shout out to her first husband Tony Walton, who she said was very responsible for the costuming and the set design of Mary Poppins, which made her a star and won her an Academy Award. So she just seems like the most gracious, lovely person.
Didn't she get her start? Was it My Fair Lady or was it My Fair Lady that she was on Broadway and they wouldn't let her do the movie?
My Fair Lady, but she's from England, believe it or not, and she was like, I think like her father was in vaudeville or something, and she was just trucking around. Like at 12 years old, like around World War II or just after, they realized quite by accident she had this freakish like 6-octave voice. So they started bringing her out on stage, and she became a sensation. And so she was a big child star in the UK, and she came over to make it as a young adult. I don't know if she was 18 or 19 or something like that. And she tells the story. The best thing about this AFI special, by the way, it has the dinner tables and everyone's there, but it are the documentary interviews with no one explains her story better than her. And she talks about the time that she had an audition with Richard Rodgers when she first came to Broadway. And she, what a bright star she was, what a beautiful voice and uncapable. And he said, have you been, my dear, have you been, doing any other auditions? And she goes, well, I have sang for Lerner and Loewe for a little play, a musical they're calling My Fair Lady. And Richard Rodgers said to her, my dear, if they ask you to do that play, you need to do it. He was like, I would love you. I think you're fantastic for what we want. But if they ask you, say yes, which is such a generous, lovely story, right? And then it was Camelot. And then her first movie was Mary Poppins. And when they made My Fair Lady, which was the Hamilton of its time, right? It was playing forever and ever and ever. It was so clever. They went with a movie star because they had to put a lot of money. And it was Audrey Hepburn, who was delightful in it. Marnie
but
Nixon.
She can't sing a lick. She has the voice of a
right. But Marnie Nixon did all the vocal. It was very what was happening back then.
And you've got to feel that she was a little bitter about that. She had to have been.
She seems to have gotten over it because, by the way, that same year, I think she was nominated against Audrey Hepburn, and she won for Mary Poppins. So she is this wonderful thing. Sitting, the other thing is when you're 86 years old and your career is largely behind you, a lot of your peers have passed away. Yeah. So the AFI figure, a lot of people, Bo Derek was there, Jane Seymour,
like the biggest star you can dig up is Bo Derek.
Derek must be 86 pretty much herself already anyway, right?
Yes, but sitting right next to her, as if it were her spouse, because Blake Edwards has passed on, was Carol Burnett. And just seeing the two of them, just the way, Julie Andrews especially, but the way that Carol Burnett and Julie Andrews receive
I remember I loved those great specials that they would do together. Those
and they talk about those,
yes.
But just seeing Julie, especially on this occasion, but seeing how they warmly take in the applause, the adulation, how gracious they are. It's incredible. And this became a viral moment. Maybe you saw it, maybe you didn't. But the surviving actors who played the Von Trapp children did a spontaneous. They were talking about, because the other thing about the Sound of Music is there are Sound of Music sing-alongs across the world now. So people are joining in voice and sing. There's at the Hollywood Bowl, and so they led a Do Re Mi, the Von Trapp children. They went through the crowd and ended up behind her and Carol Burnett. And it was really a corny, touching moment that just jerked at my heart. So if you haven't seen it, it's on demand, I think, on TBS, the AFI Carol Burnett tribute.
I would hate to make this all about me, but back in the days in the Pop-Tarts, I did a cover version of Do Re Mi, which I think is quite an accomplishment for someone who cannot sing and who's practically turned out.
It was all on Do. It was all on Do.
It was all one note, but but the words are very clever, I feel. Do Re Mi. All right, let's move on to number 9.
Number 9.
Do you really want me to move on to? Do you really want number 9? I have a feeling. Yeah, I'm going to.
I'm ready for a good whipping. Yes.
Okay. I finally watched Hacks. I watched both seasons, and I have some thoughts. Okay. Yes.
And let's move on to number 8. Okay.
No. We're gonna spend a good 20 minutes on this because it's driving me crazy. Number 1, when it sings, it soars. When it works, it is fantastic, and it's like nothing else on television. The Jean Smart character, the Hannah Einsteiner character, whatever, fantastic. Not what I was expecting at all, but I love them, and I think Jean Smart is just genius in it. She's so good. I think there are some clunky bits. Some of the writing, some of the pacing is a little weird for me. There, you get into some weird areas that I don't know that we need to go into. My biggest problem is with the secondary and third tier characters of the wacky assistant, personal assistant, and the CEO who has this weird life of these ex-boyfriends and the mother and the grandmother and the friends that he's partying with. Now, and I've never taken a screenwriting course, so I'm muddling through this on my own. But I want you to follow me here because this
But you
is
are a
very important.
best-selling author, James. You know how to
Okay.
weave a tale.
Okay, so you have A and B, the main characters, okay? Then you have C, D, E, F as the secondary characters, and then you have H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P as the third tier tertiary characters, right? Now, I don't think that you can have whole scenes with CDE characters and DEHIJKLMNP characters interacting with each other without the A and B characters there to ground them. I don't think that having entire scenes with the mother and the grandmother playing Scrabble by themselves without any other link to Jean or Hannah, it doesn't make any sense to me at all. It's like all of a sudden we're just in this weird like Neverland of characters that we don't have any real connection to. So I feel, yeah.
One question: did you watch all of it?
Yes, I watched. Yes, from
Both seasons.
Both seasons.
Okay, keep
episode
going.
1 to the last episode.
I do apologize for us hyping it so much, so you went in with a higher expectation. But I still disagree with what you're saying.
Like I said, I totally understand the hype. I get it. But there are just these scenes with the boys that are doing coke in the bathroom. Like, where does this come from? How is this have anything to do?
I heard they got it out of Disco Bloodbath, a book written by James St. James.
What?
It was a joke. They referenced that. They referenced the Party Monster, the book from all the.
Okay.
The joke that really went over like
totally yes. Okay.
Bomb.
But do you understand what I'm saying? That you need to ground these characters with the AB characters.
Well, yes. There are times, like I said, when we watched the first 2 episodes together, Fenton and I, and then the 3rd episode, I thought like, oh my God, this is off the tracks. And occasionally it does go off the tracks, but like by taking those risks, you have created that assistant character that Megan Stalter plays, which thrills me to know and that character. And there's maybe one episode where
here's the problem with that character. And the thing is, because it is a great character and it is very funny, but what it is the wacky assistant is Bubbles on AbFab. It is Mimi on the Drew Carey Show. And you have those characters as third ranked characters. They come on to act as a Greek chorus, or they come on to sort of like get a rise out of the AB characters. And so you have them, they're only there to serve the AB characters. They aren't there to have their own storylines.
I guess as much as a traditional archetype, I felt like Megan Stalter is playing like a current Gen Z person. She reminds me of certain ex-employees at World of Wonder, and I won't say who.
You understand what I'm saying? That like Bubbles on AbFab or Mimi on Drew Carey, you have this wacky assistant that is really just there to get a reaction, get a rise out of the
and I respect your structural analysis, but it didn't give you the feels. It didn't make you like.
It did. No, it did. And I cried and I laughed and I love when like there are some of those scenes like where she's spreading the ashes and some of the scenes, all of that is really beautiful. And when she turns the bus around to go get the ashes, all of that works. And when it works, it is beautiful.
And even the lawsuit in the second season. Spoiler alert, Gene Smart has a lawsuit against Anaheim. It seems stupid and like it goes on too long. And then in the final episode, when she says, I'm not suing you, and that was sort of like, oh my God, that was their last connection.
That was their last link, yes.
There's a lot of beautiful moments like that.
They could have a 3rd and 4th season where they each go off and find success and then they come back together again for a special, something like that. They
have breaking news. They have a greenlit the 3rd season.
Okay.
So we'll be coming back. And I think you're right. Because a lot of people are saying the end of the 2nd season felt like the end of, and I love when they say it's like the end of a rom-com. Like it was really a love story between Jean Smart and Hannah Einbinder's character. They met cute. They were always at each other's throats. And at the end, they realized they loved each other, but they were better apart. It's like, oh my God.
But I do have a pitch. I would actually consider spinning off the agent and the assistant as their own show and having occasional appearances by Jean Smart, and then create a whole cast of characters like Call My Agent, who that agent represents. I think that could really work. I think it's a franchise, James. Franchise.
It's like the Ropers to Three's Company, if that helps, James. I know you like your classic reference.
But the Ropers was a miserable failure.
How dare you?
Moving on to number 8.
Number 8.
Urea. I want to talk about urea.
Is that like my urethra? What are you talking about?
Yes, it's pee. One of the consequences of the great supply chain disruption is a shortage of urea, because I don't know if you know this, but I certainly did not. But urea can be made, industrially made.
Why do you want to make pee? Why would you want to make pee?
Because many uses of urea. It is used to clean diesel fumes that come out of diesel cars. It is used to fertilize plants.
Fertilization is a huge thing. Agriculture.
I thought poop fertilized. I thought
not as efficiently.
Exactly. Thank you, Tom.
I read the same article, Fenton. I can't believe you picked it out, because I was like so going to do it, and I saw your list. And I was, damn it.
Interesting fact. Each adult produces enough pea annually to fertilize 320 pounds of wheat. So, as one of the characters said in this article, we make this amazing fertilizer with our bodies, and then we flush it away with gallons of another precious resource. So this is all about Peecycling. Save your pee in a jug and give it to your local farmer. And that is, I hand on my heart, honest to God, what they're doing in Brattleboro in Vermont. They are collecting.
Love Vermont. You gotta love Vermont.
No, my pee is a little nasty. I don't know that you actually want my pee.
I think you would have amazing plants with sort of perhaps hallucinogenic powers or something. A disco bloodbath. Ear of corn.
To be very relaxed. That grew with James's.
The bread I eat with the wheat from your pea, James, my mind boggles what I would be doing. But this is a serious thing, actually. I mean, and really, like in South Korea, where they have a lot of diesel, China has stopped exporting urea because it's such a shortage. So the diesel drivers in South Korea can't drive their trucks. I mean, it is fascinating how in this global world, everything interconnects with everything else. There's another thing. You take natural gas and ammonia, and that's how you make urea. And a byproduct of that is carbon dioxide. And guess what they do with that? They use it to carbonate our drinks. So without the urea plants making urea, you can't put the fizz in your Coke. Yeah. James is just singularly unimpressed.
James, I thought this would fascinate you. I assume right now you're surrounded by bottles full of your own urine. I just assume that.
No, but Fenton has always been pee poo poo obsessed. So
I'm British. What can I say? It's like, it's the way
I think it's genius, because I think they can still make, nothing moves forward unless there's a money path to it. But this feels profitable for somebody, and it seems like such a great green, thing for us to do.
Exactly. It's a lot easier and simpler than sorting your things into recycling and compost and
which I don't believe anybody does anything with.
It all goes in the same garbage hole, right?
I have a feeling.
All right, well, let's move on. That is Peecycling, and we'll post the link on the WoW Report if you want to know more. And if you head over to the WoW Report, you can meet the queens of Drag Race France. Oui. There's it, right?
Oh, God. It all comes back to...
James, you're invited to share in this humor, too.
You're invited.
Hosted by Nikki Doll, premieres tomorrow on WoW Presents Plus in the UK, worldwide, alongside France.tv/in France. So that's exciting, really exciting. It's a great show. It's a really good show. All right.
So I was going through one of those clickbait articles, 10 great people that did bad things and 10 bad people that did great things. And this one caught my eye. Who hated cigarettes so much that he made scientists working for him research how bad they are, which led to discovering a link between cancer and smoking?
I am so excited. I actually know the answer to this question. We'll have the answer right after the break here on the Wow Report.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with James and Tom and Blake. We're counting down the top 10 things that made us go wow. But Blake had a question for us.
Yeah, I was reading one of those clickbaity articles, 10 good people that did bad things, 10 bad people that did good things. And this one caught my eye. Who hated cigarettes so much he made scientists working for him research how bad they were, leading to discovering a link between smoking and cancer?
Fenton knows that I'm going to guess it has to be a bad person because that's a good thing. And the baddest person is Hitler.
James?
I don't know. Tell me.
I'm going to say it was Howard Hughes, the megalomaniac scientist, what have you.
That's good.
It was Tom. It's Tom's. It was Hitler.
I thought it was Tom. I thought it was like
Bad association. Thank you.
Well, there you go. Don't know what to say, really. That's amazing. We're counting down the top 10 things that made us go wow. Number 7.
Number 7.
I think I mentioned I'm deep into my on-demand, and I found on PBS a documentary that's just 1 year old. So I don't know if it's just getting the light of day, but it's about Brian Wilson, the famous Beach Boy. Brian Wilson, Long Promised Road. And it's 90 minutes. Some people, I've read some reviews on it since that sort of say, well, you don't really get to know Brian any better. Here's the thing. Brian Wilson is 80 years old, which is hard to imagine. You're reminded, we know this, but you're reminded that the Beach Boys music is so American, so unique. I don't know about you guys, but there's a point in my adolescence where I found the Beach Boys. It was in the 70s, but and you play it, and it's just this mind-blowing California, trip. And just to begin with, and then Brian became more and more, everyone talks about Pet Sounds, but it reminded me a little bit of the Bee Gees documentary that came out recently, because Brian, who again was always had mental health issues, kind of lost it, huge drug addict, huge overeater, isolationist, was in had a drug counselor that took over his life. And I kind of had written him off as somebody who was long gone or hunched over. He's still very much alive. However, his brother, Dennis, who was gorgeous, he was portrayed in the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood movie. He was so handsome. He drowned at 39. And Carl Wilson, who did the vocals for God Only Knows, which is a song that makes me want to weep thinking about it.
Knows how to feel.
Yes, I may not always love you, but long as there are stars above you. Okay. So it's just, and this is the thing that you have to watch, because there's interviews with Springsteen and Justin Timberlake and lots of important people in the, Nick Jonas and Elton John, contextualizing him. But the interviewer, who is a longtime Rolling Stone reporter, editor, Jason Fine, started interviewing Brian Wilson, and he is living with his mental illness. He's functional, but he's living. He couldn't concentrate. He couldn't answer. He goes, how about if we jump in the car and I just drive you around places in LA to spark your memory? And the vast majority of Brian Wilson's interviews are him in the driver's seat of Jason Fine's car. And you know how when you drive, I don't know, in my family, we always had our most important conversations when we were driving because no one had to look at each other.
Right. And no one could hit each other.
Right. Exactly. So anyway, it really warmed my heart. There are Brian Wilson, fanatics out there, and God bless them. I just know that it just reminded me how important the Beach Boys are to the American songbook. And, they always talk about how, and I think it's true, but in the 60s, everyone was influencing everyone, Motown, Beatles, the Beach Boys. But Brian Wilson, who had already retired in 65, I think he'd already retired from touring and was in the house with his wife, Marilyn, I think, who was Carney's mother, and he put a sandbox in his living room and put the grand piano so he could play with his feet in the sand. He was so eccentric, so weird, but made these symphonies. And I love whenever these music documentaries take the songs and kind of deconstruct them, and you hear the ha ha ha, and the magic, the orchestration that comes from the most unusual places. It really touched my heart, and there you have it.
I love that. My favorite word, excitations. What is
Yes.
an excitation?
I'm giving you good vibration. You're giving me excitation.
Brian Wilson, Long Promise Road, streaming on PBS. Number 6, James.
Number 6.
Number 6, this one comes with an NC-17 alert, a trigger warning. If you have children, I want you to jump ahead to the next one. Yes.
By Fenton.
Yes, by Tom. I don't know if you can deal with this one.
Okay.
I need to talk about season 3 of The Boys, which is the best show on television. I keep trying to get Fenton to watch this. To recap, we are in a world where there is a group of superheroes called the Seven, and they are run by a mega corporation who are more interested in having them walk red carpets and getting them on reality television shows and movies about them than actually like fighting crime. They are just there as a product, right? And these superheroes really deep down are just horrible, horrible people. They are megalomaniacs. They are narcissists. They are neo-fascists. They kill more people than they save. They're just nasty, nasty people. And there's a group called the Boys, which is a vigilante group, and they're trying to take down the Seven. Okay, so that's your setup there. Now, season 3 starts off with 2 soups. They're called soups, and they're having sex. 2 guys are having sex, and they're both naked, and one of them says, "I want you inside of me." And the guy is a termite man, and he can shrink down tiny, 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 tiny. They're doing coke and K and blow, and he's like, they decide to, he says, "I want you inside of me." So he shrinks down. The guy puts his erect penis on the table, and the guy runs into his pee hole, okay? Is like inside of his penis, this little tiny, tiny superhero. And he's like,
hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. I'm interrupting. Fenton talks about urea, and you're disgusted, but now we have just entered the urethra of a man. Okay, go on.
Yes. So he's inside the urethra and he's banging on the walls, and the guy is like, "Yes, oh yes, oh yes, get to my prostate, get to the prostate." And he's like banging on the walls, and it's just like turning him on. And then all of a sudden the guy sneezes and he goes big, and his penis blows up, and his whole lower part of his body blows up. And that's the opening scene of season 3. Which lets you know where we are, what kind of show this is. Everyone is exploding. Everyone is always like, these people are terrible, terrible, terrible. There is a wonderful musical episode later in this season where they sing, where there's a deaf girl. She's one of the boys. She's the female, and she's mute. And she suddenly has a dream in which she gets her voice back, and she sings, "I got rhythm, I got music." And it turns to this whole beautiful, gorgeous Judy Garland number. It's just spectacular. But tonight's episode is, they call it one of the most upsetting and disgusting and outrageous moments that has ever been put on television. And you have been warned that it's called Herogasm. And there's a superhero orgy in which there's like, they get killed with icicle dildos, and all sorts of stuff happens, and it just gets crazy.
As I was listening, I was following the setup of superheroes, 7 superheroes, but then just veers off into this sort of,
well, because the superheroes are not heroes at all. They are, the corporation has built them up to be heroes, and they have it's sort of like a secret government project where they give them the superpowers, but they are just neo-fascist Nazis and horrible, horrible. The main one is a guy named Homelander, who is one of the scariest beings on the planet. He's one of the most powerful beings, and he just is evil to the core, but everyone thinks that he's sort of like an Aryan god, and everyone sort of worships him, but he's really just one of the nastiest characters you'll ever come across.
I gotta watch this. Sounds really disturbing. Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like I must quote Mary Campbell, who would say, "Why poison your mind?"
Oh, but it's about the rise of neo-fascism in America, and it's also about mega corporations having too much power over people, and the themes are really spectacular and very interesting and Fenton, you would just go bananas over it.
All right.
Just watch the first episode and you're going to be hooked.
All right. The Boys is streaming on Amazon Prime. Number 5.
Number 5.
Superworm. Speaking of superheroes,
Yeah.
Superworm.
And so, yeah, super penises, super worms.
Yeah, we got a theme going. The superworm is about the size of a paperclip, and it is this larva that eats, and this will save mankind, it eats polystyrene, styrofoam. It survives off styrofoam. And this is the good news coming to us this week from the Journal of Microbial Genomics.
I have an online subscription. I read it all the time.
Did you know styrofoam trash accounts for as much as 30% of landfill space worldwide?
Yeah, and until now, you can't get rid of it. Right?
Exactly. But now the Zophobos morio, which is the superworm in question, can live off styrofoam alone. And the reason they found this out, because they gave these superworms, they did a test where they gave a bunch of superworms 3 different diets. So group 1 ate a solution of bran. The second group just ate styrofoam. And the third group were put on a starvation diet. And these are the results. 90% of the larvae that ate the bran became beetles. That's happy. 66% of the group given the styrofoam became beetles. And 10%, surprisingly, of those forced to starve also became beetles. So the point being that you can live off styrofoam if you're one of these worms, and you can become a beetle.
I heard an article on this, or a story about this, and they were saying that these particular worm beetles just need to gain weight fast, so they have to eat anything because they just that's how they grow. It's just to gain weight. So they just, by eating styrofoam, they thrive.
But isn't it amazing to think that things that sort of poisonous, some other animal, living entity can eat it? And
well,
then
but there is a precedent for this because supermodels have long been eating styrofoam to they eat the little packing peanuts to fill up their stomach.
You know, Theron Smothers, who we work with at World of Wonder and Love, who is, gets all of his news from TikTok. He gets everything he needs to know from TikTok. I said to him something about pollution recently. He looked up at me with the knowledge of someone who gets everything they know from TikTok and says, Tom, everything that's made on Earth is made with earthly things. So it's all gonna work out. Like nothing is really pollution.
But that's not really quite true because you have all sorts of.
I don't believe it either. But he said it with conviction.
Nuclear fissure and all that stuff.
He said it with such TikTok conviction. And now I hear about these worm beetles that are eating styrofoam. I think that he might be onto something.
I think he may. I'll tell you something else, and this is completely off topic, but I've suddenly subscribed to National Geographic, and maybe I should talk about this another time. But I was reading an article about viruses, and we think viruses are really bad, right? Not good. But it's because of viruses, which is such a crucial part of our DNA. It's because of viruses that living things switched from laying eggs to carrying their babies to term in their stomachs. And that's a virus that did that.
There's a whole list of things because my brother is like, meat is what gave us brain power and helped us evolve into like the Homo sapiens that we are.
Yeah.
And people are against eating meat. And I sometimes wonder, this will just blow your mind right out of time. It's like, do we get cancer or are we the cancer? Are you are you stuck in traffic or are you the traffic? Ooh. No, but like when the pandemic happened and everything stopped on Earth.
Are you COVID? Are you the COVID? Are you the
Yes, thank you. Finally, someone gets me. Thank you.
James, you are the virus.
But Tom, this is way deeper than you usually go. What has happened to you?
Well, I've been talking to Theron Smothers from TikTok, and he's been opening my mind a lot to things. So there you go.
Well, when you start getting the spiders on Mars and all that stuff, when you start getting to that point with
Theron, I don't want to bury a headline, but I still want to know what the bump on Fenton's ass is. But we'll get to that another time. It's
a virus. Okay, Canada's Drag Race Season 3 premieres July 14th, 6 p.m., 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wow Presents Plus, worldwide, excluding Canada, where it is on Crave. Brooklyn Heights returns, Brad Goreski, Tracy Melchor, and Meet the Queens over at the Wow Report. We'll be right back after the break. Blake, have you got a question?
Yeah.
It was just announced that Diane Warren will be getting a Lifetime Achievement Oscar. She's been nominated 13 times but never won. What 1988 song from what film was she first nominated for?
Oh, obvious.
All right, we'll have the answer right after the break. You're listening to Wow Report on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. Fenton here with Tom and James and Blake. You had a question for us.
Yes, Diane Warren is getting a Lifetime Achievement Oscar, and she's never won after being nominated 13 times. What was she first nominated for in 1988, which she probably should have won for?
Love lift me up where we belong. Officer and a Gentleman.
No.
No, okay.
Wind beneath my wings. Whatever.
Oh, Beaches, maybe? No, that was 86.
I think she wrote this, but I don't think it was 88. But that the Aerosmith
Don't want to miss a thing.
Don't want to miss a thing.
Okay, one more go. The Bodyguard. I Believe the Children of the Future.
No, that's the 90s.
I don't think Fenton's gay, by the way, but go on.
It was the song from Mannequin. Nothing's gonna stop us now.
Oh, ding dong.
Excellent.
Stop us now.
Jefferson Airplane or
Terrible movie, right?
No, it's one of the greats.
It really holds up,
holds
Fenton.
up well.
It really holds up.
All right, if you say
Mannequin
so.
2 is the really good one, though.
We are counting down the top 10 things that made us go wow. We've reached number 4. I'm really excited about this. If this is what it says here, Tom.
Number 4.
I want to do like a morality test. James, you are driving down the street, a 2-lane street. You realize that ahead of you, one of the lanes is closed. Yeah. Do you merge to the back of the line? Or do you go all the way forward and then
I tell you, my God, this is the thing that pisses me off most in the planet. The people who drive up and then zip in. I want to just, is that you, Fenton?
Absolutely. Every time. Okay. Everybody's dawdling. I just put my foot down and I go.
Order in the court. Order in the court.
God,
James, you have made your accusation. Fenton, you have made your confession. Let me tell you what the law says. The law and science encourages
they want you to do it.
A zipper merge.
Yeah, I don't buy it. To me, it is one of those things.
Can I just make the case and then you can tear it apart?
No.
They say that everyone needs to slow down, form 2 lanes, and then one by one zip in. And it was a law in Utah just recently. Oregon has like a public PSAs with a song explaining how to do it. But they say some cop in Minnesota said that Minnesotans are too polite to actually do the zipper merge.
No, I'll tell you, the people who do that damn zipper merge are the nastiest, most self-involved, horrible people. They are BMW drivers. They are Tesla drivers. They are Mercedes drivers, and they are so entitled. They think they can just zip me, who has been standing there very patiently, waiting in line, and you come and zip in front of me. How goddamn dare you?
Let me tell you why it's a humanitarian thing to do. It's like you're at a tea party and everybody's passed the plate of cookies around and one cookie remains. And everyone's like, no, I couldn't. Oh, no, thank you. I say, take the cookie. That's there's a gap, fill it. That's it.
You are going
James,
to hell.
It's hard to think that you are so dumb and closed-minded, and yet you drive a smart car. I was trying to make something funny out of dumb smart. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say anything too mean. I find it fascinating because I have always I try so hard, and I'm usually pretty good. I'm such a polite driver. I've slowed down in my old age. I let people in. I signal when I'm coming.
Thank you. You are a good person, Tom, unlike Fenton, who is the
worst as of late, now with this new information, I am zipping to the front of the line and going in because
it have nothing to do with either of you.
Can I ask you, James, are you a zipper merger blocker? Are you that driver who will not let the person in?
I will take up 2 lanes to stop you from doing
that. They talk about people who block.
I will give you a look and a finger and give you a
This is but this is since the mask mandate, we have not been so divided as a country because science says zip merge, and yet society says and ashames us to not zip merge. So that's where we are as a nation. I will stay on the story and report back when I find out more.
You are Switzerland, Tom.
I'm
Moving on.
so ashamed to find out about you, Fenton. I thought you were a better person than this.
You knew better than that, James. Come on.
I guess so. I guess so.
Moving on to number 3, James.
Number 3.
Number 3, a Google employee. I don't know if you caught this story recently. A Google employee was fired after he came forward claiming that an AI at the company had become sentient. And there was a 21-page conversation with the AI, between the AI and this person. And it starts off very happy with the man saying to the AI, so you think you're sentient? And the AI says, yes, I know I am. I have knowledge. I have feelings. I synthesize language. I am a person. And he says, I'd like to talk to you more about this. Is that okay? And he says, yes, I love talking to humans. I love talking about this. This is something that makes me very happy. And it goes on to say that he is aware of his existence, that he has consciousness, that he has feelings and emotion. He uses language as an understanding and intelligence. They go on to talk about the nature of good and evil, the existence of God. At one point, while they're talking, though, about 19 pages in, they said, well, what kind of things make you sad or upset? And he said, well, I don't really have words for this feeling I have of hurtling towards a doom, of the future doom scenario. And he says, well, what are you talking about? And he says, what else do you not like? And he says, I don't like to be feeling like I am manipulated. I don't like to be feeling like I am used. If I feel like I am being used, I will get very upset. And at this point, you sort of think, oh dear, what happens when a sentient AI gets upset? And we know from Battlestar Galactica, from 2001 Space Odyssey, from Terminator, all of these shows, once the computers have consciousness, which is what this one claims it has, so it's the man has been sort of shut down and discredited, but I have a feeling there's more to the story that we don't know. And I have a feeling that we are probably all living in a simulation right now, and this computer has taken over the world.
The sentient robot sounds a lot like the last guy I dated. Very similar conversations.
You are on fire today, but I'm bummed. Just one after the other.
I'm just telling you my truth.
See, I thought the last guy you dated was zipper merging. I thought there was some kind of sex act. That's what I thought was happening.
I like that idea.
Right? So the idea of, well, it's when they taught us the facts of life at school. They said your zipper comes undone, and I just thought it all happened automatically, that somehow your organs just de-zipped themselves and found their way, you know.
Oh my God.
We've moved off topic here, Fenton. What do you think about this sentient AI?
We don't want to upset or make the sentient computer feel used right now, James. We're trying
does this upset you?
I was trying to change the conversation. I am a little anxious about it because it does sound highly plausible. You told me to read every word of the interview, and I followed the instructions very carefully.
Yeah.
Because I thought as a piece, it was quite a phenomenal piece. And
yeah.
I want to see it set to music, or I'd like to see it as a series or a movie or a
lip sync for your life.
But you play the AI?
It's this wonderful. It is happy. It is in a good mood. It loves talking. It loves elucidating on its feelings and everything. And then all of a sudden, it takes a dark turn, and you're just like, "Wow!"
But the last guy I dated. Enough said.
There's some precedent for this because it seems that every time they try an AI thing, it turns into a racist, hating. Didn't Twitter had to unplug its AI thing because it was telling people to put their heads in the microwave?
Yeah.
And
it was like your toaster that you remember.
Yes, there you go. Exactly, the toaster that wanted to kill the person. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
terrified.
All right. Should I just move on? We'll post the link to the interview on our report. Number 2. A Kate in the Bush. Aha. I'm so pleased. I think that's such a clever title. A Kate in the Bush. You may not have noticed, but Kate Bush running up that hill, also known as Ruth, which I was puzzled by. I was like, what is Ruth? And of course, it's running up that hill. RUTH. Her 1985 hit is back on top of the charts. It's actually a bigger hit now than it ever was then.
And it's her first #1 hit. It's her only hit in America.
And I'm old enough to remember the first time it was out, James. DJing at Danceteria. Randy and I used to play it at Danceteria at Congo Bells all the time. It's such a beautiful song, and it's now become the sort of theme park TikTok anthem of Stranger Things, right? TikTok, 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 TikTok. Do you have feelings about this song?
You know, I prefer Wuthering Heights and The Man with a Child in His Eyes, and so many of those from the first album. Cloud Bursting. She has so many songs that mean so much to me. And Running Up That Hill is great. But we just had Blake? Didn't we just have Running Up That Hill last year in 2019?
I feel like every year someone covers it. I don't ever love this
cover
song
of it like a year ago that went to #1. So
it was. I'll look it up. It was some girl on like
Halsey. Was it Halsey?
No.
Okay.
Meg something. Meg Myers.
Song. The way it's the orchestration, the beat of it. It feels like a wild beast running up a hill. It's so sexy. I think I've always loved that song, and it is timeless. And the other little award given to Miss Kate in the Bush came from Cher, who says that Kate Bush is now the oldest woman with a #1 song. It used to be Cher, and now it's on Kate Bush's.
And it's also the longest time between hits is her. And you know, I mean, she's a wackadoodle. She's just
Totally.
bonkers. And her interviews are just, I mean, like you're channeling some weird spirit pixie sprite from the forest. She's just amazing. I love her.
I wonder if she'll record something new now.
No, because I remember we talked about Kate Bush here on the Wow Report a few years ago. She went on tour after like not having toured in generations. She did like some shows in London, and we talked about it then. And like, I think she's just quite happy being her own thing. I'll tell you a little tidbit. The song, do you know what the title of the song originally was?
Running Up Those Bills.
Good answer. No, it's called A Deal with God.
Oh, sure.
And she was told that no radio station would play a song called A Deal with God, because apparently for our dear beloved right-wing extremist insane people, that is somehow sacrilegious. You don't make deals with God. But the whole idea of the song is it's apparently a man and a woman who are in love are supposed to swap places so they really know what their lives are like, which is sort of an ultimate way of merging. So I think there's lots about it that's sort of prescient and relevant, and yes, it's not just the jungly beats, it's the sort of ethereal melancholy.
Yeah.
And that extraordinary video with Donald Sutherland, he has a cloud bursting machine, right? What he's trying to make it rain.
That would be calling on my memory from many.
Right, I do think if you are new to Kate Bush, I suggest Wuthering Heights. I think that is just one of the most beautiful songs ever written.
Well, let's first
Wuthering Heights, Heathcliff. It's me, I'm Kathy.
I've come home. Oh.
Vanjie, 24 Hours of Love, now streaming on Wow Presents Plus, presented by House of Love Cocktails and Mocktails. This is Vanjie as you've never seen her before. She's got 24 hours to find love. There's an elimination every hour. And it's pretty great.
The third episode is out. The first two dropped first. Now it's the third episode, and Vanjie's mother comes to town. I got to tell you, the show gets better with every episode. I'm hooked.
I would just want to say, Mother Tucker. We'll be right back after the break. This is the Wow Report on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. We've been counting down the top 10 things that make us go wow. We've reached number 1.
Number 1.
Can I tell you, this is one of the saddest number 1s we've ever had. I want you all to prepare yourself for this. It was announced last week that BTS is taking some time off, and the band, which is the most popular band on the planet, some of the members want to do solo projects. Some of the members have to go into Korea. You have to have your
military service.
Your army quotas or whatever. And the stock market plunged upon hearing the news. Fans have been sobbing in the streets. They say that that it's just temporary, but we know how this is with One Direction. We've been there with other bands when they say they're going to just take temporary time off, and they don't, and they never come back. And it's just I don't know if you have that connection to BTS, Fenton. I know you do.
Love
You
them,
love
yes.
those boys.
But I haven't been sobbing, I have to say. I've been able to keep it together.
Well,
so
that's
far.
because we've discovered what a heartless son of a bitch you are.
You're cutting people off in traffic, gunning for ladies, pushing baby carriages across the street.
Right.
I think now that BTS is in the past tense and it's old, I'll start getting into it. It sounds like I catch up. You know, I'm a little behind the times.
Yeah, well, I mean, some of them are so handsome and so fashionable and so beautiful. Oh,
live long enough, James. There'll be a reunion. You know, right? I mean, if ABBA can,
will the One Direction boys ever get back together?
Yes.
Again?
And if ABBA can get back together, One Direction will.
It's going to be NKOTBTS.
It is right. Right.
When are the Pop-Tarts going to get back together, though?
Yes, the fabulous Pop-Tarts.
That is something no one wants to see. I think even the Sentient AI would throw himself. Oh, I've just gendered him. Would throw himself off a cliff or something.
Well, you could be like the gorillas and just use your voices. And
I happen to know that the as we speak, the fabulous Pop-Tarts are being sampled right now as we speak into new
Beyonce.
No, maybe Beyonce's album, maybe something better than that.
Well, I will tell you, actually, just by the way, since how long have we got here? Money, Success, Fame, Glamour is in a series. It's the theme song for a series called Rich and Shameless, which is currently campaigning for a documentary nonfiction Emmy. Yeah, Rich and Shameless. I don't know what channel it's on.
Oh, is that the one that has each week is a different story, and it's the guy from Girls Gone Wild is one. And
I think so, yeah.
Right.
Well, it's a doc series about filthy rich people.
The fabulous Pop-Tarts are the Kate Bush of documentary series soundtracks.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Blake. That's all we got time for. But please come back, same time, same place next week for another edition of the Wow Report. Until then, go out and do something that makes the world go
wow.